Samsung's new Galaxy XR headset has finally arrived, and there's no way around the fact that it looks strikingly similar to Apple's Vision Pro, but honestly, that doesn't really bother me. When something is strapped to your face, looks aren't really my top priority, and this level of build quality is probably what Apple should have aimed for with a more affordable price tag attached to it. Samsung's Galaxy XR retails for $1799 for a 256 gig model, nearly $2,000 less than the base Vision Pro. Sure, it doesn't have the same premium materials, there's a lot of plastic and lightweight components, but that actually works in its favor. It feels lighter, it's more balanced, it's more comfortable to wear over time, and it doesn't try to mimic an over-engineered luxury feel. And for that reason alone, I don't think I'm going to kind of blame Samsung for that. I think Samsung made the right call here. Obviously, it's not as premium of a product, but it gets the job done. So just overall in terms of comfort, yeah, it's pretty solid. I mean, obviously having anything strapped to your face isn't ideal, but this is about as good as it's going to get. It's also pretty simple to get on. There's a little dial here and you just twist and turn it to kind of secure it on your head. Here, I'll show you. You just undo it, get it on your head, and then just dial it in literally. And yeah, here it is. And that's pretty good. And honestly, when I put on a Vision Pro, I feel like I can feel all of the pressure around my cheekbones and my eyes. With this is more pressure on the top of your head and the back of your head. But I think that's a little bit more sustainable to me over time compared to the Vision Pro. But again, don't get this confused. I know this is ridiculous that I'm talking to you with this on my head, but don't be confused at the fact that this in general isn't something that's comfortable, obviously, compared to not having something on your head for a couple of hours during the day. Now, when it comes to the displays, these are surprisingly good. You are getting two 4K micro-OLED panels that are bright, colorful, and immersive, which is similar specs to what you get on the Vision Pro. Although I found that the foveated rendering, the text in general, just isn't quite as sharp as it would be on the Vision Pro. But for watching content, I feel like it's very similar. Movies, YouTube, streaming content in general, it all looks fantastic, and I think you'll enjoy that experience. One of the standout features for something like this, a deep integration with Google, is that there is a deep integration with Google Gemini and Gemini Live right into the OS. So having that level of AI baked into this headset gives it a big advantage over others. Gemini can clean up your workspace, understand what's on your screen, and react to commands intuitively. You also get Circle to Search, which, thanks to pass-through, basically brings that functionality into the real world. You can literally look at something and circle it and get more info on it instantly while wearing your headset. Now, apps are definitely limited right now. I'm not going to hammer Samsung or Google too hard because of this, because we kind of gave Apple plenty of time to grow its Vision Pro ecosystem, and it took about 18 months for that to kind of start to take shape. And it's probably still pretty limited in the grand scheme of things, but it's definitely improved. The Galaxy XR already comes with YouTube and Netflix native apps pre-installed, which is more than what we can say for the Apple Vision Pro. Even right now, there are still no official apps for those two services. You can access the Google Play Store here as well and download just about any Android app, but most of them, like a majority of them, are not AR or VR optimized, and so navigation can feel a little clunky, but at least you have the ability to access practically any app or game. The Google Photos app on the Galaxy XR is also pretty fun to play with. You can capture spatial photos with the camera, by the way, but there's also the ability to transform standard photos and videos into spatial or immersive versions, similar to what Apple offers with the Vision Pro. Now, it's not quite as convincing, but if you've never used a Vision Pro before, I think you'll find this pretty impressive. But once you try Apple's version, I just think it's a lot better, in my opinion, but it's still really fun to use. Google Maps is another cool inclusion. You can actually explore different cities and landmarks in a much more immersive way, even stepping inside of buildings that have 3D data. It's surprisingly useful for planning trips or just exploring places that you've never been to, maybe you might be going to. You can kind of get a lay of the land before you actually get there in person. There are also built-in speakers, which is another pleasant surprise. The audio is very full, rich, and has some nice spatial depth to it. Again, I don't think they're quite as good as Apple's spatial audio immersion, especially when watching content, but I think overall, these are probably like an 8.5 out of 10, where Apple's would be like a 10 out of 10 for me personally. I'm not trying to be a fanboy. I just think it's got some better engineering to it, but these are still really solid. Now, there are some rough aspects. Interactions and gestures are just not great. Out of the box, you have hand and eye tracking, which feels rough and rather inconsistent. Even after some tweaking and getting used to it, it's, again, nowhere near what Apple was able to do right out of the box on day one with its intuitive tracking. You can choose to just use either hand, like pointing gestures to be able to, go through the navigation, or you can use hand and eye tracking if you want to. But it's just pretty clunky still. Samsung does sell optional controllers. I highly recommend picking those up. Not only is it great for gaming, but it makes navigation much easier and more reliable. And it's just good to have options. If you want to use controllers or use your hands, maybe you don't have them with you, you have those options. I also want to mention that overall, for performance sake, it has been really good. But one caveat, the fans that are built in here at the top, they do kick in quite frequently, and you will definitely feel and hear them. And that's just not something you get on the Vision Pro, like ever. It's very well, thermal regulated. And this thing seems to be struggling during certain aspects. One of the things I love about the Vision Pro is the Mac Virtual Display feature. And on Samsung's Galaxy XR, you do kind of get something like that. You can connect to a PC for a similar experience, but the setup is apparently messy. I don't have a PC, so I wasn't able to test this, but some other stories about this headset says it's not as seamless as Apple's kind of one-tap connection. Obviously, Apple's got a pretty tight integrated ecosystem. I will get a PC, though. I want to try it and kind of do a separate video, and if you want to see that, let me know in the comments down below. On the right side of the headset is a small touchpad right here. And this can handle a few different commands and gestures. So if you double tap it, it launches into immersive mode, where you can explore a virtual environment. It's not packed with a lot of customization options, but it's nice to have those moments of full immersion when you want to escape reality a little bit. And there are also two buttons here at the top. One is your home button, and the other is for volume control. And then over here, you see this little component here. This is where the battery connector will slip on. And I think that's a little bit of an easier task than doing it on the Vision Pro, where you kind of have to rotate and turn. Sometimes I just can't seem to ever get it. But yeah, you get a battery very similar to the Vision Pro's battery, though it is a lot lighter because it is made up of plastic, and it can charge via USB-C. And battery life is rated at around 2 to 2.5 hours, similar to the brand new M5 Vision Pro. At the end of the day, the Galaxy XR is an interesting step forward for Samsung and Google in this partnership. $17.99 price point doesn't feel as premium as you might hope, but there's a lot of plastic here, which is good for comfort. And yeah, I mean, it's a good, solid headset overall. It's light and comfortable compared to the Vision Pro. The displays are pretty good. Gemini integration shows a lot of promise, in my opinion, light years better than Apple Intelligence and Siri. And it's a good showcase of the first generation of this type of technology. And I'm excited to see how it'll evolve over the next few years if Apple and Google decide to keep up with it. I think there is some promise here. It's at a good price point if you are interested in trying it and you just, maybe even looking at a Vision Pro, but you just haven't had the ability to pull the trigger on a $3,500 product. This is a really good secondary representation of what you might get there. But if you're an Apple user, like most of you probably watching this channel, you're not going to get that tight ecosystem integration. But I still think there's a lot of great abilities with content and gaming here that you just can get for $2,000 less. But let me know in the comments down below. Would love to hear from you about the Galaxy XR. And if you're thinking about picking one up, let me know down in those comments. This has been Dan with MacRumors. Thanks so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you around in the next video.